You got any opinions on any of the other rune words? Because in my experience here, obviously the druid one, I haven't really seen anyone use, and that's another one I haven't touched since dabbling with it. Was it PTR or maybe right after the patch launched? The helmet ones, for just tossing my opinion out right quick before we get yours. Actually, the rune word cure I've actually been using a lot on my energy shield Nova Sorceress. Poison resistance, helping that out, and then the cleansing aura. The obvious reasons there. Bulwark was a little underwhelming in my opinion, throwing it on the Act 2 Mercenary, but it's so cheap. They're so cheap, so you got to kind of weigh them against the cost. I used it until I got my Talismask type of thing. So what are your opinions on kind of the other rune words that, if you've dabbled around with them at all?
So there's nothing else out there that really excites me too much. Initially when I saw Metamorphosis, the Druid helm, I thought it was an interesting idea, but maybe it was just missing one piece that really made it, meta shifting for the Fury Druid. I like where the devs' heads are at with all of these rune words, because they know what needs to be buffed. At the end of the day, it does show that the devs know what areas are lacking, but maybe it just wasn't the right, implementation. When we got the first feedback from Metamorphosis, it was a lot of, oh, this is going to be used as pre-buff maybe. But come on, nobody wants to go through the work of
4.5 minutes of pre-buffing.
Yeah, switching around and shape shifting to one form, the other. Then you got to hit something. Then you got to shift back. Then you take it all off.
It turned out that I think they thought of that and they didn't want people doing it. I don't know if you dabbled with it at all, but you couldn't use any other skills that weren't Fury or whatever the skills you needed for transformation. Like you couldn't. At first I thought it was a glitch because I went out there and fought and I was like, oh, my battle orders ran out, and I swap over to CTA. I'm like, I can't use it, which is mega downside there, right?
Yeah, it's got a lot of cool mods on it, but people aren't playing, shapeshifters, unfortunately, and there may be a good niche for it in Ubers or something, but I don't really see it as a meta shifter. I don't think much is going to change. You see how fast Mosaic Assassin can take down Ubers. I don't really see the shapeshifter coming out ahead in that area. It's just there are too many weaknesses still to the shapeshift druid that the new helm doesn't really address, like mobility and as well as AoE damage if they're trying to farm effectively. It's just it just misses the mark, I think, at the end of the day, which is funny because they're called Mark of the Wolf and Mark of the Bear. But in the other rune words, we got Hustle. So Hustle is kind of cool. I
forgot about that one, actually.
Yeah, the armor. Yeah, I think after the changes, I think I like them a lot more. The armor seems really cool. I love, access as well to fanaticism on the weapon at an early level. That where previously we didn't really have that option. Even at level 1, if you're using it yourself, that's a big boost. But we're talking about mid tier rune words at the end of the day. I don't think there's going to be too much changed in the end game in the meta with the addition of the hustle and weapon and armor. I think maybe on a playthrough. So Phil, you're a single player guy. Sometimes you do more than most, I would say. In terms of like grails and stuff. And I thought that hustle actually has it has its place in more of a single player playthrough or very early game. Access to a little bit of a stronger weapon or maybe fanaticism for your mercenary that you could benefit from if you're playing a melee build. So I think there's a little bit of a buff there, but otherwise, I think there are just too many better options when we're talking about end game that Hustle doesn't really.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled around.
That was the intention.
I haven't dabbled around too much with single player since this ladder, so I haven't. And the ones with Hustle, I made a Hustle real quick, threw it on. Some people wanted, ask me about it or whatever. I threw it on my mercenary, and it was all right. But at the time, I already had treachery, and I feel like losing that fade proc was very detrimental to my boy Emilio disappearing on me a lot. So
you got to take care of Emilio, yeah. And treachery is already so affordable. At the end of the day, it's not gonna. It's not that much. You're not saving much making a making a hustle over a treachery. I mean, you might as well just save up for the lem, and get that on. It's such a good mercenary.
Yeah,
armor.
and I wasn't sure that I haven't went and looked at what exactly it comes out to, but that level 1 fanaticism, for using it for like your character, not 100% sure, but I was thinking about, would it go over to helping the damage and attack speed and stuff for like summons, the way that fanaticism is on beast, but it's like a much higher one, right? But I don't know if level 1 would really do a whole lot. I don't know if does it add 30% damage and 15% attack. I don't even know what the numbers are offhand. I looked them up one time, but now of course I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, don't quote me on this, and I'm sure everyone will be quick to correct us, but I think it was around in the 20 to 30% for attack speed, and then maybe ED was 50 to 70, around that range.
That's wrong. You're going to get canceled. So
yeah, and then that's going to be offhand ED. And the problem with a level 1 aura is the range isn't really too far. And again, I'm quoting numbers off the top of my head, but maybe you get 10 yards on a level 1 aura, which is half your screen, I think, based on wherever you're standing or the mercenary is standing. So you don't have a ton of range on it, but it's better than we had before. Right. And if we're talking about an early, summon buff, melee buff, something along those lines. And then to tie into some of the other ones, I think Bulwark and some of the other helms are also great early options. Like I made a Bulwark this season for my mercenary, but yeah, you mentioned once you get a Tal's Mask, that kind of went away, but it's a little harder if you're doing a single player, run through, or even a speed run. Something like runes are a lot easier to force than a Tal's Mask, or
on a speed run for sure, or something.
Yeah, speed run or single player. You're gonna have access to runes a lot easier, and Diablo doesn't really have a lot of areas. Like if you see a lot of modern day ARPGs, at least Diablo 2. There aren't many areas that you can just spot farm for a specific thing in Diablo 2. Like, yeah, if you want uniques, you go to a boss, but you don't know what unique's going to drop. It's not like if you farm Mephisto, you have a better chance of getting, or if it is, it's minuscule, a better chance of getting a Viper Magi than Andariel. Like, it's not that much different of a chance.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can target farm runes and make these items that are guarantees, I think, it gives you something to work towards. It's something that you can guarantee more than just a random drop off a mob boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with those uniques, yeah, there are definitely spots where it's like better to find it, but better to find it is like 1 in 1,000 runs, and better would be like 1 in 800. But that 1 in 800 could be 2,500 runs if you just don't get lucky. You know what I mean? So yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. It's not like running the Countess and you're going to get runes. It's like, is it going to be, am I going to get it quick from the Countess on the first or third run, or is it going to be the 15th run that I get that Tal rune or something? Yeah.
Right.
So it's
anything. Yeah. So just like any mid rune word, you have that ability to sort of target farm for it, which makes it more available, which then if you're comparing a Bulwark to Vampire Gaze, any of the other mercenary helms that are out there, it's an option. It's you could target farm for it. It's pretty much a guarantee, but it's replaceable. At the end of the day, like you mentioned, I think most of the helms are. I like the Hearth, the access to early CBF, the cold one.
Yeah, I forget which one that is too, but yeah.
Yeah, you get access to, you get a ton of cold absorb, cold res, and you get CBF. I think there aren't enough options for CBF at low levels. There are maybe 2 or 3 options. So this adds another option that you might be able to luck out and get. And who does CBF benefit? It benefits melee. Anything that's attack speed based. A caster doesn't care whether they're frozen or not because of the way Diablo 2 works. They still get all their breakpoints. It's no problem. But if you're a melee character and you don't have CBF, first cold thing that comes up and touches you, it's a whole different story than if you're a caster. So I like another early access to CBF. Your idea with Cure on the energy shield sources is great. I think that's a great application of that one that I may not have even thought of when I first saw it.
Yo fellas, this is a new channel, so double check and make sure you're subscribed up.